Hey guys, welcome back to today's video. Today is Saturday, October 29th, 2022, and today we are going to be talking about the United States Senate election projections from 538, Race to the White House, The Economist, CNN, and a number of other polls and information groups that have given us a better understanding of the 2022 Senate races over the past year and a half. The 538 forecast is one that we have been constantly taking a look at, one that is extremely important when it comes down to which party is going to win control by the end of this November. Now, though there is a possibility that we do head off into a runoff election through the state of Georgia, most of our election nights and most of our decisions on election night will come down through the evening. By the end of the day, or potentially over the next couple of days, due to mail-in ballots being received in some more competitive states, we will be seeing things come through the election returns that will give us a better understanding about the state of the race, the state of the nation, and which party is likely to reclaim or maintain control. 538 is a website that averages a number of different factors when it comes down to their expert forecast. Things such as polling data, things such as fundraising data, incumbency, non-incumbency, candidate quality, a number of factors that bring us to a 52 to 48% chance at Democrats and Republicans in our Senate elections. Today, the Republicans stand at a 48% chance at victory, with the Democrats at 52%. As they declare it, it is a dead heat. But Democrats are still narrowly the favorites to win control of the Senate. You can see here that still they are in the majority when it comes down to this expert model. But what I will say is that it is the narrowest it has been in over 3 months when it comes down to the 538 forecast. Democrats at the end of September were soaring high at a 71% chance at retaining Senate control. Today, it's practically 50-50. And this reminds me a lot of where we were back in the month of July. You can see here that 2 months, actually not 3 months on my previous statement, you can see that in July, the Republicans had maintained an advantage throughout the month. But similar to where we are right now, it was still close. By the time we had reached the time frame for the Democratic Party to regain control, we were talking about July 27th when it was 52 to 48, exactly what we see right now. But if the trends are indicators of anything, as what we saw from early June throughout the month of July, a consistent deteriorating rate for the GOP, the Democrats then maintaining their advantage through a trend, we are now starting to see it move in the opposite direction to a point where on election day, Republicans still could maintain an advantage. Now, the forecast on The Economist is one that I really do want to take a look at, but I want to caution it by saying the last time this was updated was October 16th. So you're talking about a forecast from 12 days ago that is probably not as indicative of the Senate elections than the ones that we use today. Though, about 2 weeks ago, the Democratic Party was at an 80% chance at retaining Senate control. Republicans were at a 20% chance. I'm interested to see how these things have changed practically in just a couple of days. You know, 2 weeks is not just a couple of days, but for the sake of calling it that, we're going to refer to it as such. But another forecaster that I think is also quite important is the forecast from Race to the White House. They have been also doing a Senate election forecast for quite some time now, and they give the Democratic Party a 56% chance at retaining Senate control. When it comes down to what these forecasts are saying, they say the Democrats are still in the advantage. Though narrowly, they still maintain an electoral advantage over the Republican Party. However, it is much narrower than it ever was before, or narrower than I should say, 2-3 months ago when the GOP was in a significantly better position. Looking at the numbers over time, they have tracked the win percentage for the Democrats, for the Republicans, as we have gone through month after month after month. And in 2021, the Republicans didn't exactly have a too-good shot chance at winning Senate control. But throughout the entire year of 2021, up until the time frame about Glenn Youngkin's victory, the Democrats maintained an advantage when it came down to the Senate elections. Then came the Republican victory in the state of Virginia, the near Republican victory in the state of New Jersey, and Republicans started to take the lead. They didn't hold it for long, though. Democrats eventually reclaimed it, and since then, Republicans have not been the favorites. But Republicans at different points in time were at low points of just a 34.5% chance. At different points on 538, Democrats had above 70%, meaning Republicans had less than 30%. But you can see here over the past few days alone, the GOP has made a tremendous uptick and a tremendous upward mobilization movement when it comes down to the Senate forecast that gave the GOP their highest odds going all the way back to the end of July. Meaning that if this trend continues, Republicans win control of the Senate from the Democratic Party. I told you we would take a look at the forecast from CNN because it is also quite interesting. So they use ratings from inside elections, but they actually seem to have put it out a little bit easier for us to understand. It's just going to show us the overall composition, but you can see here that Republicans are just 2 seats away in the toss-up column from winning. I don't know why I keep saying maintaining. Winning Senate control from the Democrats. The Democratic Party, however, needs about 2 seats as well in order to maintain control. Now, this is why Democrats do start out with the advantage. Republicans need 2 to win. The Democrats need 2 to maintain. And it is a bit easier to see how Democrats could maintain some of these seats, considering that they are the incumbents in some of them. Nevada, or potentially even not the incumbent, but there is no incumbent on the GOP side in Pennsylvania that is benefiting them when it comes down to this race. Looking at our ratings from Inside Elections /CNN, you can see here that in Arizona, the Democrats are tilt in the advantage. That's a good look for national Democrats. In Colorado, it's likely blue. But in Georgia, it's a toss-up. Democrats have an incumbent there. When it comes down to the state of New Hampshire, it's tilt Democrat. That is a good look for the Democratic Party. But in Nevada, it's a toss-up. Democrats are also the incumbents there. North Carolina, tilt Republican, arguably more than that in my view, but that's what Inside Elections would like to say. Ohio is lean Republican. I agree with that characterization. Pennsylvania Republicans are technically the incumbents, but it's a toss-up in an open seat, meaning there is no incumbent running on the ballot. So in Pennsylvania, Nevada, and Georgia, the reason why Democrats are in the advantage is because Republicans need to win Democratic territory in order to win control of the Senate. Obviously, if all of the states were to retain the same way they were before, the Senate majority would be 50-50 with Democrats in the advantage. But that's why it's difficult for the GOP. Because the states that they need to win in, Georgia, Nevada, Pennsylvania, are all states that President Biden won in the last election. States that, for example, in Pennsylvania, not the state of Georgia, but 2016, Hillary Clinton got somewhat close in Pennsylvania, somewhat close, won in Nevada, somewhat close in Georgia as well, and Democrats did well in these states in 2018 as well. So the Republican Party essentially needs to win in areas that they typically don't exactly have too high chances at winning in. For instance, in Pennsylvania, John Fetterman still has a 57% chance of victory within that state, though in Georgia, Herschel Walker is in the advantage. In Nevada, Adam Laxalt is also in the advantage, but the thing is, these races are all very close. They truly could go in either direction, which is why Democrats and Republicans are neck and neck. But we cannot deny that as of right now, the Democrats may be leading for the last time for a while. But they still maintain an advantage, which means if it just plateaus, which is still realistic, though there has been a trend you can see over the past week on 538, the Democrats went from 55 down to 52, but that's been hovering around the same number within 3 points over the past week. If that continues into Election Day, it will be a true and total toss-up, but it means that Democrats are in a better position than where they were when this forecast first started. When the forecast first started, the Republican Party was at 51-49, with a 60% chance at winning control of the Senate. Today, it is still lower than where Republicans were in June. The problem is, though, Democrats are significantly lower from where they were at the end of September, at their high point when it came down to the Senate forecast. I'm interested to see at what point in time does the Senate odds flip? Do the Senate odds flip? If they flip at all, 52-48 is not the best look for the Democratic Party, but it's certainly a lot better than what it could be. By far, a lot better than what it could be. The Democrats lucked out. They lucked out to the extent that they have good candidates across many of their races. Personally, I think Republicans win control of the Senate. I have really shied away from making this characterization largely because the GOP has not exactly made the right moves when it comes down to their nomination process. And I think the Senate majority could have been so more easily well won in a different reality with different candidates. But we're working with what we have. Oz in Pennsylvania, Walker in Georgia, Johnson in Wisconsin, Vance in Ohio, Masters in Arizona. The Republican Party did not put forth their best this election cycle, and it shows. Because the Senate majority should have been 95-5 when it came down to odds, knowing that this is the narrowest Senate majority possible for any political party. The narrowest the Senate majority has been in United States history, tying with just a few other terms in Congress. The Senate majority right now is up for grabs because Democrats are doing well enough to potentially maintain some of their seats. It is not a toss-up because Republicans are doing well. I hope this is something that is well understood. The default for these midterms was that Republicans are winning control of both chambers. It's the narrowest House majority of the 21st century, the narrowest Senate majority of the 21st century. For back context, 2010, Republicans picked up 63 seats in the House, 7 seats in the Senate. In 2014, Republicans picked up an additional, I think, 10 seats in the House, or more than that actually, over 10 seats, 14 seats in the House, 9 seats in the Senate. So you have 63 and 7, 10 and 9. What are they struggling to do this time around? 5 and 1. The House, not so much, but that 1 is what is really dragging them down. I still believe the Republicans will win control of the Senate, but I think so narrowly. I would not be shocked if either result happened. But it is clear that at least according to 538, at least according to The Economist, at least according to Race to the White House, along with ratings and polls that we have seen in many of the competitive Senate races. In Georgia right now, Warnock is ahead by 1. In Pennsylvania, Fetterman is ahead by 1. In the state of Arizona, Kelly is ahead by 4. In New Hampshire, Hassan is ahead by 4. Right? So when I look at some of these margins, when I'm looking at Democrats being in the advantage in some of these states, I see a general consensus on the polling spectrum, a general consensus on the forecast spectrum that Democrats are in the advantage. But just narrowly. And well within a reasonable margin of error that would not be the outcome. Because Republicans are more than likely going to win control of the House. That seems to be a foregone conclusion and one that has been established over the past few months, but more so established from the time that Joe Biden won the election and the time at which Democrats did not nearly have as much of a House majority as they did in 2018. That was the first sign. Then came around these Senate elections that the GOP, quite frankly, started out in the advantage, according to websites like Race to the White House, according to websites, like 538, Race to the White House, it dabbled in it for a little bit. But you can see that there were points in time where the expectation was that Republicans were going to win control. In fact, on my own predictions, you can see that dating all the way back, the last time I had Republicans in the advantage was May 3rd, 2021. Around this time frame, at different points, I even had Republicans at 54 to 46. 54 to 46. Today, I have Republicans at 51 to 49. They should have been super lucky and fortunate if the midterms were have been able to have been held in November of 2021. But this is no longer the case. Republicans are not going to get 54 seats in the U.S. Senate, at least as it stands right now. Things can change between now and Election Day, but we are 10 days away, and it becomes very difficult to see how anything truly can change. But I'm showing you this to illustrate that the Republican Party was in a better position before, but is still in a good one. But Democrats are also in a much better position than where they were last November. The Senate odds are ones that are indicators of strong Democratic performances and weak GOP candidates. That is what this is showing us. The default for this midterm was Republican victory and Republican victory. Absolutely nothing else. If Democrats retain Senate control, that will be a big victory. It will be one that was not expected in the slightest. At least 2 years ago. At least a year ago during the time of Glenn Youngkin. The time where I had my own map at 54 to 46. But now it has become a reality. It is one that has become ingrained in our forecasting, in our models that are telling us on a science and data science level of perspective that Democrats have the advantage. But everything else, when it comes down to at least congressional ballot, Biden approval, Trump favorability, 2024 polls, that Republicans are going to win this midterm election in the Senate. But what I will say is that the one shining star for Democrats is polling data that fuels these models. Data that tells us that even though there are outside things on the national level that are telling us the GOP is going to win, when it comes down to individualized races, when it comes down to individualized candidates, Democrats, at least as of today, maintain the advantage. But truly, over the next couple of days, if this model was to flip, that would not be shocking in the least bit. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to comment down suggestions below. Subscribe on the left if you haven't already, and check out the Instagram and Twitter. At the bottom left of the screen, there's also a Discord server for you to go ahead and join. On the screen, there's a video you can watch, and then a playlist for my 2022 election analysis videos. Again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all later today.